weekend at Brands Hatch about a month and a half or so ago. And they're back again here at Donington for another trio of races. They had one yesterday afternoon, another one coming up right now, and then they'll have a third one later on this afternoon. It's really all been about Toby Trice so far this season. 4 races and 4 race victories for the SVG Motorsport driver. And he'll be looking to try and add to that tally again here on a bright and sunny morning at Donington Park. The ambient temperature is already starting to climb into the mid-20s. It is a little bit humid though, and there is a threat of some rain later on this afternoon, I believe. So we're hoping very much that that doesn't arrive, because a wet Donington Park is a friend to no one. It's a very slippery circuit, this place, when it gets wet. But at the moment, no real threat of that rain arriving. Spectators out in their limited numbers, but enthusiastic as ever to witness live motor racing. And we've got a packed day of racing ahead as well, with the British GT Championship and all of their support categories here to entertain us throughout the weekend. So there is Toby Trice then on the pole position, the man who won all 3 races at Brands Hatch last time out, although certainly didn't dominate by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, on more than one occasion, he only led a lap of the races that he went on to win, including a last lap overtake to win the first race of the Sunday. But he will line up alongside Angus Whiteside, who is another championship leader. There are 2 classes within the championship, the Pro, if you like, or the GT Academy class itself, and then also the rookie class. And Angus Whiteside leads the rookie championship after taking his 2nd rookie victory of the season yesterday. Daniel Young there, 3rd on the grid. He's also a rookie, and he is 2nd in the rookie points, just 5 points behind Whiteside. So that's going to be an interesting battle between those two as they line up 2nd and 3rd on the overall grid, with 4th place on the grid going to Rami Ramyed, who is also a rookie. So the rookies actually, with the exception of Toby Trice, really making up the bulk of the front end of the field, really. Toby there, therefore, doesn't have to worry too much about those drivers, although there is an overall championship as well, which sort of combines the two. Toby is unsurprisingly leading that as well over Roy Alderslade and Lee Frost, with Rami Ramyed 3rd, oddly the highest placed rookie in the overall standings, even though he's not leading in the rookie championship, if that makes any kind of sense. Anyway, green flag lap is underway. We are not that far away from going racing here this morning, and a brilliant grid of cars they are, as well, as they make their way up around Redgate Corner on this green flag lap. The Ginetta GT Academy is the latest addition to Ginetta's sort of stable of one-make series, and it's proven to be extremely popular already. Let's run through the grid then. It's scrolling through on the bottom of your screen. Toby Trice and Angus Whiteside on row 1, ahead of Darren Young and Rami Ramyed, with Wes Pearce and Roy Alderslade on the 3rd row. They're 2nd and 3rd in the GT Academy class. 2 more rookies on the 4th row, Gilbert Yates and Danny Dwyer. And then on row 5, Julian Wantling and George Collado making his debut in the series. Got himself on the podium in the rookie class yesterday. Ed Akers and Tom Hartley Jr. are next. Tom was a non-finisher, unfortunately, yesterday, ahead of Martin Wills and Lee Goldsmith on row number 7, a pair of Assetto Motorsport teammates together. It's another Assetto car next, Robin Grimwood ahead of Neil Wallace, both with a bit of work to do from deep in the field. Then it's Gary Wager and Sean Fleming on the 9th row of the grid, whilst row number... in fact, that is it. That is the 9th row, is the back row of the grid. And those 2 drivers actually were in a bit of trouble yesterday, or at least their teams were, because they were disqualified from the qualifying session for a technical eligibility infringement. So they failed post-qualifying scrutineering, essentially. So those 2 go off the back of the grid with a 10-second delayed start. So the number 7 and 66 cars from the back will leave the grid a bit later than the rest of the field as they pay their penalty from yesterday. So as I said, this new series for 2021 is sort of a step on the GT racing ladder. These cars, the G56s, are certainly, as we look at them from outside of the cars, look very similar to the G56 GT4 car that we'll see racing in British GT later on today, run by Assetto Motorsport. And this is kind of seen as the first step on that ladder. If you can come into this championship from a number of other series, the GT5 Challenge, for example, or G40 Cup, which are also racing with us this weekend, or, as many are doing, you can just jump straight into the GT Academy. These are sort of toned-down versions of the GT4 car, so a great way to learn your craft in a car that you might then go on to drive a more powerful version of in the future. One car there was heading for the pit lane, that might have been Sean Fleming, but the rest of the field are in position, and we're ready to go racing then for 20 minutes around the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. Toby Trice, on the left-hand side of the road, Angus Whiteside on the right as we look at it. The red lights go on, they go out now, we're away and racing here at Donington, and there's a stall, I'm afraid, for Darren Leung, the number 11 car. He does get going, but Darren Leung from third on the grid, I'm afraid, has been swamped. He's almost right at the back of the pack as they head towards Redgate for the first time. Trice has the lead, side by side for second there, as Ravi Ramyet tried to go up the inside of Angus Whiteside. There is Leung in the red and black number 11 car, deep in the pack after that slow start. It's Trice with the lead, though. Ramyet is second then, so Ramyet got himself ahead of Whiteside, and that is significant because that's for the rookie class lead then. The car's second and third overall as they head down into the old hairpin for the first time. There is the number 60 car, that's George Collado, just about fending off the 27 of Roy Alderslade, who's had a bit of a bad start as well, has Roy. He started a few places ahead of Collado on the grid. So up towards McLean's for the first time then. Trice leading the way. He led every lap yesterday. It was a very un-Toby Trice-like performance in that he didn't really have any problems. He had a good start yesterday. Led the entire race, never by a huge margin, but he equally never really looked like being beaten. And I don't mean that as a disservice to Toby. He is a very talented driver, but at Brands Hatch, I think by his own admission, he made things a lot more difficult for himself than they needed to be. Yesterday, there was more of a textbook performance, and he led all the way to take that fourth victory from 4 races. Let's see whether he can do the same again, though, because a couple of the drivers towards the end of yesterday's racing, particularly Angus Whiteside, who's third at the moment, were really coming on strong in the second half of the race. Darren Leung there at the inside, into the hairpin, locks up, almost gets into the back of the 23 of Danny Dwyer there as they went through the Melbourne hairpin. That nearly ended in tears. A very easy place to lock up there, though. It's a steep, downhill, bumpy braking zone. And in these cars, it's quite easy just to snatch the brakes in the early stages. There's more snatching of brakes I can hear going on there into Goddard's. And one car wide over the grass, and a big sideways moment there for the 44, which nearly ends up in the pit lane. That was Martin Wills, who was a podium finisher in the GTA class yesterday. And the pink number 44 car in all sorts of trouble there coming out of Goddard's. Right, this battle's still going on then. George Collado just about ahead of Roy Alderslade, and there, the recovering Darren Leung, who is a novice racer. You can see the novice cross on the back of his car. He's also running in the rookie class. These are all drivers then competing for class positions. There's a car on the grass there and a spin for the 27. Now that looked very, very strange. Roy Alderslade going around down the crane of curves. What was that all about? It almost looked as though there was a puncture or a suspension failure. We'll, I'm sure, get a replay of it, but that was a very bizarre way for Roy Alderslade to leave the circuit. Let's see whether or not he's out of the race. He might be able to get going again. Let's hope that at the very least he can limp the car back into a safe position, because where it is, oh, there he is, that's exactly what he's doing. Driving, I think, the wrong way up the crane of curves. Now, here's the replay then. So he's tucked in behind Darren Leung, and yeah, the car is already twitching. I think he's got a puncture on the right rear. The way it snaps around there, yeah, that right rear is down, I think, isn't it? Hard to tell for sure from that distance, but it did look as though maybe it certainly had all of the hallmarks of a tyre going down, the way the car was wriggling around as he went through Hollywood, and then as soon as he tried to lean on the right rear corner to turn left, the car just snapped around on him. So that's a shame then. It takes him out of that tasty little battle that he was having with George Collado, doesn't it? There is the 44 then of Martin Wills, also recovering after some early issues. But the rest of the field making their way up through Goddard's to complete the second lap of the race then. They got 11 laps in yesterday. It was, I think I'm right in saying, a safety car free race yesterday afternoon. So we're aiming for a similar sort of distance here this morning. There go the leading 5. Those 5 did sort of pull away from the rest of the pack yesterday as well. Leung got the inside there of Collado. Nice move into Redgate, textbook stuff. Now, can Collado get the better exit and get back alongside down the hill? No, he can't. So that will put Leung back into 6th place. Where did Darren start? Well, he started 3rd, so one would assume there's a bit more progress to be made here, but you can see his trouble now is not traffic, it's lack of traffic almost. He's got no one in front of him. A big, big gap now to try and bridge for Darren Leung. They are about 3.5 seconds or so behind the leading quintet, but you can see the way he's already getting away from Collado. Darren Leung clearly has the pace again in this race and will be kicking himself after that less than ideal start. Next car then that arrives on Collado's tail is the number 10 of Lee Goldsmith. Lee Goldsmith is not a rookie driver, actually, so they're not in the same class. But of course, as I said, there is this combined championship as well, so worth fighting for every position, even if it's with someone that technically is in a different class to you. So Trice then with the best part of a 1 second lead. He's getting away at the moment of Ravi Ramiad in second. Angus Whiteside is third, and coming under pressure actually from the 32, isn't he, of Wes Pearce there, the white car. Just had a little peek to the inside into Melbourne, wasn't quite close enough. Then it's Gilbert Yates fifth, then the gap back to Leung in sixth, and then missed the battle for seventh as Gallardo almost had to fend off a pretty ambitious attempt to pass by Lee Goldsmith. Goldsmith's had a good race though, started 14th, and he's up into 8th place now and challenging for 7th. So the white and red number 10 car there is running pretty strongly. Lee Goldsmith run by Assetto Motorsport, who, as I said, have their presence now in British GT as well. So that's got to be an incentive for their drivers in this championship to do well and maybe get a chance to move up the racing ladder with the same team. Car there was running wide out of Redgate. It's the orange car. Is that number 20? I think it is Ed Akers, isn't it? Just behind the 44 then of Martin Wills, who has not recovered in quite the same way that Darren Leung has from their respective first lap dramas. Slow start for Leung, the slide at Goddard's for Wills, and Wills' car didn't look very happy there through the Craner curves, did it? The Pink Panther, number 44, bit sideways, and then out on the grass goes Ed Akers, who I seem to recall, just missed out on the class podium yesterday, Ed. 4th place within the rookie class, but today only 8th in the rookie category. In fact, that is 8th and last of the rookies, and yet he is 13th overall. There are 5 drivers behind him who, in theory, based on their class that they're in, should be quicker, but these rookies are awfully rapid in this series, as proven by the fact that 2 of our 3 current podium runners are rookie drivers as well. Right, Martin Wills to the inside at the chicane. Not quite close enough, though, to get past Julian Wantling. He caught Wantling quite quickly and then gets a really good exit out of the chicane. I was about to say he caught him quite quickly, but hasn't been able to get through for a while. Well, that was a really nice move. And there's another nice move up the inside into the hairpin. That was the 77 of Tom Hartley Jr. That was Dwyer, I think, that he went up the inside of. So plenty of side-by-side battling to watch out for here. This scrap still going on. Martin Wills having moved ahead of Julian Wantling. It's now Ed Akers trying to do the same. Hartley Jr. did get the better of Dwyer in their scrap. That was a really bold move from Hartley Jr. into the Melbourne hairpin. Hartley was one of 4 non-finishers yesterday. He, Ravi Ramiad and Gilbert Yates from the rookie class all failed to finish, and so did Lee Goldsmith within the GTA category. Hopefully, though, at the moment, Roy Alderslade is our only non-finisher, but Roy was 2nd in the GT Academy Championship, so that non-finish is going to be costly. He was already the best part of 40 points behind Toby Trice. Even further back now, though, because you get 35 points for a win, plus a bonus point for the fastest lap, which, you guessed it, is going to Toby Trice at the moment with a 1:43.956. Fastest lap in yesterday's race actually went to Roy Alderslade, and that was a 44.7, so the track is 8/10 quicker this morning, it would seem. Slightly, actually, no, I'd say similar ambient temperature now to those that they faced late on yesterday afternoon. So I don't know whether it's the track that's quicker or just the drivers getting quicker. A lot of them are relatively inexperienced drivers, though, even those that aren't in the rookie category, so I guess the more track time you give them, the quicker they're always likely to get. So here is the battle then for 12th position. Julian Wantling in the blue car gets a bit wide into the chicane, and that's going to give Ed Akers the run. It's exactly what Martin Wills did to Wantling a lap ago. That's where Julian seems to be struggling, although there is an argument to say that both Wills and Akers, as they made those respective moves on Julian, were not 100% within track limits, using a lot of the inside curve. That will be monitored by race control, of course. And if drivers are seen to be exceeding track limits too much and gaining too much of an advantage from it, they will start dishing out time penalties. Toby Trice, though, is 2.6 seconds up the road now from what is actually becoming quite a tight battle here for 2nd place, because Ravi Ramiad on the previous lap, well, actually, the previous lap was 4/10 quicker than Angus Whiteside, but the lap before that, Angus was faster. And then Wes Pearce and Gilbert Yates both quicker than the cars ahead as well. So this is all tightening up a bit. There is the 52 of Whiteside then, 2nd in the rookie leading the rookie championship, I should say, from Darren Leung, and there is Leung. Now, Leung in the black and red number 11 has just set the fastest lap, actually. a 1:43.8, and he is now only 2.1 seconds behind this group. There he goes, look. So he's taken about a second and a half out of them since he moved into that 6th spot. And the fastest lap is certainly helping him, but is he going to have time? Well, he will have time, won't he, to gain some ground here, because there's still half the race to go. So Darren Leung, I was about to say, only 5 points behind Whiteside in the Rookie Championship, and that's Martin Wills off the road at McLean's, I think that is. The Assetto Motorsport driver is probably not going to be able to get out of there. He's lost it coming out of the corner. No one else around, so not going to jump to conclusions, but it doesn't look as though he was helped into the gravel. And unfortunately, the Pink Panther is very much beached. Now, that is not good news, potentially, for this man, because if that car can't get going, that may require a safety car. There is usually a live snatch vehicle up at that part of the circuit, but whether Race Control choose to use it, or whether they'd prefer to have the incident dealt with behind the safety car, we'll wait and see. For the time being, though, we stay green, and so these battles can continue. Martin Wills is out of the race. Tell that because he's out of the car. Nice to see that his race suit matches his distinctive livery, isn't it? But unfortunately, we're not going to... Well, we get plenty of time to admire it in the gravel, I suppose, but I'd much rather be seeing it at speed on the circuit. That's not going to be the case now, though, until race 3 later on. So down the hill they come, and this is the fight to watch now, isn't it? Leung has caught Gilbert Yates, who's faded a bit on the last lap or so, and this is for 5th position. Gilbert is also in the rookie class, so it's for 5th place overall, but the 3rd within the rookie category, and Leung just set another fastest lap, a 43.8. So he's got himself the bonus point for fastest lap. He already had it, but he's made certain of it now. They come past the stricken car and Martin Wills. You can see what I mean. It is a decent way off the track, but I'd still say that's a dangerous position. I don't particularly like the idea of them sending a live snatch vehicle out there, but we'll see what Race Control elects to do. In a way, I hope the race can continue, though, because this battle is developing quite nicely. There goes Ramied 2nd, Whiteside 3rd, Pierce 4th, then the fight for 5th. It's still Yates ahead of Leung for now. But Darren, having done all of the catching, really doesn't want to get stuck now. He arrived with momentum. The last thing he wants now is to get sort of stuck running at Gilbert Yates' pace for a lap or so, because then you can lose all of that momentum and it can really end your forward progress. But Gilbert isn't going to roll over and let him through easily, obviously. Defends the position into Melbourne. Leung then gets very sideways on the exit. And in the end, they stay in the same order. But you can see that Yates is going to put up a bit of a defence here. Drives, again, a slightly tighter line into Goddard's. That should, in theory, compromise his exit speed, but Leung is struggling, I think, for traction off those tight corners. Coming out of both of the hairpins, the car got a bit squirrely. You can see he's dropped back again now as they head into Redgate. Just to prove my point, though, on the previous lap to that one, he set the fastest lap, as I said, a 43.8 as he goes wide again at Redgate. On that lap, a 45.1. Over a second slower now that he's caught Gilbert Yates, so he really needs to get on with this, but he's dropped back again now as after that mistake at Redgate, and he's now going to have to reel in the number 8 machine once again. So Gilbert Yates then, like all of the rookie drivers, run by the Want to Race squad. And well, there you can see actually Martin Wills, yes, the car is being moved by the live snatch. So good work by the marshals. They got that done pretty quickly. And a big shout out as ever to the marshals, volunteer workers, all of them. And they put themselves in dangerous positions like that so that we can enjoy racing. And we cannot thank them enough for the hard work that they do. It's going to be a warm day out there today, even though there is this threat of rain later on. So I'm sure they're going to enjoy it still, but it is at times like this I'm quite grateful to be in a at least slightly air-conditioned commentary box, not out on a very, very hot marshal's post. So 6¼ minutes still to go then. No threat of a safety car anymore, which is good news, so particularly for Toby Trice. But much as we saw yesterday, actually, his pace is not quite as strong in the final third of the race. On the previous lap, he was a couple of tenths slower than Ravi Ramied in second. He is still 2.6 seconds ahead, though. In this lap, he's another 2 tenths slower than he was last time around, and another 10th slower than Ramied. So they're all fading a bit as the tyres go past their prime, I suppose. But we'll just monitor that gap, make absolutely sure that Toby isn't going to run into any late troubles here. I'm sure he's just managing the race, really. doesn't need to win it by an enormous margin, and they are limited, of course, on the amount of tyres that they're allowed to use over the weekend, so that will certainly be in the back of the driver's mind, some of the driver's minds anyway. I don't think it's in the back of Darren Leung's mind, tyre preservation. He is throwing the number 11 car through the graded curves, through the old hairpin, back up the hill again through Schwantz, and now into the right-hander at McLeod. He's caught back up then to the number 8 of Gilbert Yates, but can he find a way through? So far, you wouldn't bet on it, because Gilbert's been driving well, in fairness. He defended when he had to without over-defending, and actually on the last lap or so they've been back up to a half-decent pace. In fact, Yates on the previous lap was the fastest of the cars on the track. These two were the fastest cars on the track, but Gilbert was a tenth quicker than Leung. Again, fires in over the curbs there, out of the chicane. Now, is he going to be close enough to have a go into the braking zone down here at Melbourne? Let's see. Gilbert Yates again, look, covers the inside, but doesn't go right to the inside, just holds the middle ground. There's a screech of tyres. Oh, and that's a spin, and that is the number 17. That is Ravi Ramiad, yes, from second place. Has gone around. Oh, Ravi, what a shame. That takes him out of second place. It takes him out of the rookie lead as well, and promotes Angus Whiteside back into both of those positions. And that was just a bit of an unforced error, really, you have to say. I've seen a few people getting sideways out of Melbourne and Goddard's, so clearly these cars are a little bit lively under acceleration, and Ravi Ramiad finding that out now to his, certainly not to his merit. So he's down to 7th place then, is Ravi, after the spin, and he will be furious with himself for that. See how far back he is now. Here he comes, the white, blue and green car, so he's just behind Lee Goldsmith. Sorry, no, he's ahead of Goldsmith. He's behind George Collado. Well, that changes everything for the rookies then. Ramiad could have done with the points too. He was 4th in the championship after that non-finish yesterday. And an error in this one is going to cost him a few more points, I'm afraid. Good news for Darren Leung, though, because it means he's back into the top 5. He also gets promoted now into a podium place within the rookie class, but also gives him that extra bit of incentive to find a way past Gilbert Yates, because that would be second. You get 30 points for finishing second in your class. You get just 26 for finishing third, so 4 bonus points here if he can get past Gilbert. Once again, look, he's fallen away through the middle sector. Gilbert does seem to have an answer so far for everything that that Darren is throwing at him. Now, look at the way... Oh, no, that's not Toby Trice. I panicked for a second there that Trice had been reeled in by the cars behind, but no, Trice is 4 seconds on the road, and Darren Leung got the inside and loses it! Oh, Darren, you could sense the frustration was starting to build there, and Darren Leung went for a really committed move. It looked to me as though Gilbert Yates was doing his usual trick of defending the middle ground into the hairpin, and... oh, there's another spin, I think, in the background I could see there, and hear going into the chicane. But yeah, it looked like Gilbert was defending the middle of the road, and Darren just threw it up the inside, locked the rear brakes, and around he went. And that is the reason for the smoke in the background. Oh, dear. That is the 33 of Neil Wallace and the 7 of Gary Wager, who were fighting over 14th place overall, 7th in the GTA class. And then, having had a tangle, reversing into your opponent is not usually a good idea. Right, oh, look how far back. It wasn't even that Yates wasn't defending, because Leung was so far behind. I think Leung just missed his braking point, honestly. And that was a bit clumsy. Not as clumsy as what we're about to see here, though, because this is the aftermath of the spin and the collision between Wallace and Wager. And then Wallace just selects reverse gear, doesn't look in his mirrors, and reverses straight back into Gary. So I don't think Gary's going to be particularly pleased with that. They both, no, Wallace and Wager have not come through at the end of that lap, and interestingly, neither has Ed Akers. I'm not entirely sure why. Oh, there is the 7 of Wager. So yes, the timing screen just taking a moment, I think, to realise that they did get going once more, because Wallace is showing as being back in the race, but Wager is apparently did not complete the previous lap. Anyway, get to the bottom of that at the end of the race. None of this matters to this man, Toby Trice, who at Brands Hatch gave us an awful lot to shout about. Here at Donington, though, this has just been a brilliantly professional performance. No mistakes, touch wood, so far. And the SVG Motorsport driver comes out of Goddard's to start the final lap of the race then. There you can see the gap to Angus Whiteside in second, who seems to have got the better of Wes Pearce, and of course Gilbert Yates now pretty comfortable in 4th position as well. Through Redgate they go. There is Angus Whiteside, who's going to extend his rookie championship lead. And of course, Darren Leung, after his spin, is only 5th in class now. Ed Akers is only 8th in the class. He was 3rd in the championship. And Ravi Ramyed has had issues as well, and he's only going to manage 4th. So Whiteside's going to take quite a good number of points, actually, out of his rookie championship rivals, provided he gets around to the end of this lap. But we've seen in all nearly 5 now of our races that we've had in the Ginetta GT Academy that mistakes can be made. These cars do snap back if you overdrive them. You've got to be smooth, you've got to respect the car, and certainly something Toby Trice has done so far this weekend. Comes out of Coppice then, makes his way down the back straight, past the exhibition centre, just to the right of shot, and then into the Fogarty S's once more for the final time. In fact, it is going to be actually a 12 lapper. They're going to get 1 extra lap in today. The pace has been quite a bit quicker though, in fairness. As I said, fastest lap in this one, a 43.8 compared to a 44.7 yesterday, so nearly a full second faster in this race. Toby Trice isn't going to get the bonus point for fastest lap again though, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, I should say, because he's going to get 35 points for winning the race, and that is all that really counts here for the man that is dominating the championship. 5 races so far in the 2021 Ginetta GT Academy, all of them won by Toby Trice. He comes across the start-finish line, takes the checkered flag, and wins once again here at Donington Park. 2nd place goes the way of Angus Whiteside, as it did yesterday, but joining them on the podium is Wes Pearce in 3rd position, who is 2nd in class, as he was yesterday, but gets on the overall podium this time. Gilbert Yates 4th. George Collado again is on the rookie podium, ahead of Darren Leung and Lee Goldsmith, and there Ravi Ramyed comes through in 5th position. Out of Goddard's corner comes Robin Grimwood in number 50. He's going to finish 12th place overall, 5th in class, the GTA class that is for him. But brilliant drive that, no arguments with Toby Trice's performance this weekend. It may not have been quite the dramatic, exciting racing that he provided for us at Brands Hatch, but this is probably much more like it as far as he's concerned. Nice, quiet, easy-looking, although they never are easy, but an easy-looking run to the victory in that one. And Toby Trice is going to be very, very pleased with that. Another 35 points then to his championship tally, compared with Roy Alderslade, who was 2nd in the championship, who didn't finish, of course. So he's going to be, well, he's going to be 71 points clear of Alderslade now. Lee Frost, who was 3rd in the championship coming into that race, is not actually racing with us this weekend. So what about Julian Wantling? Julian Wantling was only 4th in class as well, so he will score 22 points and will move up to 3rd in the championship, will Wantling. So Alderslade, despite his non-finish then, looks as though he's going to hang on to 2nd, 2nd in the GT Academy points, but not really the way that he would have wanted to do it. I'm intrigued to know what the cause of the puncture was, though, because I didn't see Wantling, Alderslade, I should say, have any contact on the right-hand side of the car, which sometimes can be the reason for a tyre going down. If you nick the tyre on the bodywork of another car, you can sometimes get it from rattling the curbs a bit too much on low pressures, but at that part of the circuit, I doubt that's what it was. So, well, we'll see if we can find out for the 3rd and final race of the weekend later on today. That race coming up for you, by the way, for the GT Academy at 5 minutes past 3, just after our 2-hour British GT race later on this afternoon. There's Darren Leung then. Good recovery drive that for him. 6th place overall, 4th in class, but he'll be frustrated at the spin. The poor start is one thing, but he'd recovered quite well from that. That's just one of those things. It can be difficult to get these cars off the line sometimes, but the spin was a bit of an unnecessary mistake, you'd have to say. Just the frustration, I think, of being stuck behind Gilbert Yates got to him. So let's check out the race results then from our first race of the day here for the Ginetta GT Academy. Toby Trice takes the victory, Angus Whiteside second, Wes Pearce in third, Trice and Whiteside the two class winners. Gilbert Yates was fourth ahead of George Gallardo, with Darren Leung sixth after his poor start and then the spin. Actually, that's not a terrible result, all things considered. Lee Goldsmith was next ahead of Ravi Ramyed, who also had a spin. Danny Dwyer was ninth, and Julian Wadling rounded out the top 10. Tom Hartley Jr. gets to the finish this time in 11th ahead of Robin Grimwood. Sean Fleming was 13th, then it was Neil Wallace and Ed Akers to round out the top 15. Ahead of Gary Wager, Martin Wills and Roy Alderslade. So, dramatic start to the day then here at Donington Park. Let's remind ourselves of some of the highlights of our second GT Academy race of the weekend. It was a poor start for Darren Leung. The rest of the field scattered to try and miss him. He dropped down outside of the top 10 in the opening lap, but would recover quite well through the middle part of the race. Ravi Ramyed had a good start, got himself ahead of Angus Whiteside for second, but it was Toby Trice that held the lead as they made their way through the first corner. The field made its way down through the Craner curbs for the first time, and there was immediately going to be some action further back as drivers were trying to recover from slightly poor starts, but on cold tyres a little bit of respect was being shown, at least for this poor part of the race. Darren Leung was already on his toes though, working his way through the field in the number 11 car, making some good moves on the brakes through the hairpins. As the field completed the opening lap of the race, there was a big moment for Martin Wills coming out of Goddard, and then an even bigger one for Roy Alderslade, second in the championship, but a non-finish after a suspected puncture as the cars came through the Craner curves for the second time. Martin Wills would eventually recover decently well from his slide until this moment, an even bigger slide at McLean's, put him into the gravel. Then Ravi Ramyed, the screech of tyres was him having a spin coming out of the Melbourne hairpin all by himself, just lit up the rear tyres as he tried to get on the power. Through the middle part of the race, the real battle was the one that was going on between Gilbert Yates and Darren Leung, and eventually there was a mistake made by Leung. He lost the rear of the car going into the Melbourne hairpin, and the number 11 car, fortunately, undid some of its work as it had recovered up the field. There was then a bit of contact between the 33 and the 7 car at the chicane, but it was Toby Trice that came through to take the race victory, his 5th win of the year from the first 5 races. So brilliant performance then from Toby Trice, and he extends his championship lead now to 71 points, and we're still early in the season as well, so it's going to be difficult now for anyone else to beat him, you'd have to say. Fantastic opening race of the weekend though for the GT Academy, and they'll be back racing with us again later on this afternoon.